ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಬ್ಬನಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೈಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಲೀಫಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಮೊನೊಪಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್, ಒಂದು ಡೈಪಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್, ಡ್ರೆಸ್ಸಿನ ಬೋಹರೇವಿಯ ಬರಿಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಬರಿಬೇಕು, ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಜಾಗ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೋಹರೇವಿಯ ಬರಿಬಾರ್ದು. ನೀನು ಯಾವತ್ತೋ ಫೋಟೋ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಫೋಟೋ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ ಬೋಹರೇವಿಯ.
ಈಗ ಸಮಾಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹುಷಾರಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು. ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ? ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹೌದಾ? ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ಇರೋದು. ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೋರ್ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? ನೀನು ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಬರಬೇಕು 6 ಅವರ್ ಹೋಗಿ 3 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಮಲಗ್ದವಳು 7 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಎದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಫೋನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಲಗಿದೀನಿ. ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು 6 ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು
ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಇನ್ನ
ಬರಿಬೇಕು.
ಡ್ರಾಯಿಂಗ್ for all the diagrams you are doing.
No, only for diagram. We have to do right whatever we have done. You are not going to do.
Huh?
You are just following children's record.
I don't know. I have not yet started. I don't know how to
Ayam nijaha paro veti gananam laguchetasam udaracharitanam tu vasudaiva kutumbakam. The Subhashita or the Sanskrit thought here explains, he is mine or they are mine, and that is somebody else appear only to those with a narrow-minded people. For the large-hearted ones, however, the entire world is the family. A college is not less than a family comprising of students and staffs, but incomplete without alumni members. As Narayan Murthy, CEO of Infosys, quotes, nobody is bothered about the institution more than its alumni. They are the foundation of this institution. They are the key for the growth of the institution. Likewise, our prestigious institution, Maharani Lakshmi Ammanni College for Women, has delighted alumni members and association for the same in the name of Arpan, which means dedicated, and wise. It is dedicated to alumni and for the forthcoming alumni. I, N.S. Phalguni Bhatt, lecturer from Department of Microbiology and alumni of MLAC, take immense pleasure in welcoming alumnus and speaker of today, Dr. Pushpa D. Rao, who is there with us virtually from USA. I also welcome all alumni members offline and online. I also welcome all of you for this live webinar interaction by the title, Career and Skills Create a Path on Your Journey to Go. I now request Mrs. Anupama, HOD Office Department and General Secretary of our Arpan Alumni Association to welcome the gathering.
Good morning, dear teachers, students, and alumni. A warm welcome to our beloved principal and acting director, Dr. Shashikala, our IQAC coordinator, Professor Shamista Datta. I welcome Mrs. Ashwini Narayan, Senior Research Associate, Jubilant Biosis and Joint Secretary of Arpan. I also welcome our new alumni coordinator, Ms. Kalpaka Kalasapura. My warm welcome to all our dear participants who are present here and online through Zoom and YouTube platform to the webinar on career and skills, create a path and your journey to go, organized by Arpan, our college alumni association.
Thank you, Anupama ma'am. It is now the time to have a brief hearing on Alumni Association by Arpan Joint Secretary and eminent alumnus achiever, Mrs. Ashwini Narayan, Senior Research Associate of Jubilant Biosis. Over to you, ma'am. A small announcement, I request all the audience to please mute and do not switch on to any online platforms because you're already offline.
Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to one and all present here. Why and what is the importance of an alumni association and why you guys should be a part of the members in the association? These kind of questions will keep lingering in your mind. Alumni relationship is one of the biggest asset for an education institution, and organizations, alumni are the reflections of the past, representation of the present, and link to its future. So here are the 4 ways in which MLAC Alumni Association aims to create a powerful and positive impact. First of all, we would like to give an immense support system to the students. We at MLAC Alumni Association Arpan wish to create an engaged alumni network that allows the students to benefit from the skills and experience of our members by offering their support to our students, to the institution, and to each other. The alumni members are our best ambassadors, offering invaluable marketing and promotional access across and keeping their personal and professional networks in mind. The second thing will be offering expertise. Alumni Association has members with wealth of experience and skills to share with current students, maybe via talks or meets. In certain cases, they could be even, it can be taken even further by offering practically supporting students in placing them and to launch their careers as well. MBLAC Alumni Association Arpan wishes to create an engaged alumni network which is beneficial to students, welcomes alumni to as well give it back to the college. Alumni Association Arpan also wants to help students in their employability. It's a network which is willing to donate its valuable time and offer career support to current outgoing batch of students. This enhances a student's experience to give them, that gives them a competitive edge in today's tough job market. Alumni network of a college is one of the biggest source of placement opportunities to the students. Thus, alumni can help students get placed at their respective organizations of interest. Mentoring and scholarship. Alumni can play an active role in voluntary programs like mentoring students in the areas of expertise and best practices in a given field. They also play a significant role in contributing scholarships to deserving students. Leveraging the alumni community can be a win-win situation both for the students and the institutions as well. Many of them are willing to anyway get back to the college and give their best and whatever they have learned from the college as well. So leveraging the alumni community and the alumni as well as the alma mater can be a sign of giving back to, they want to show their gratitude and affinity towards the institution. So the association will help the students to reconnect, give back, expand and advance. So thank you all and looking forward for an active participation from the current outgoing batch of students through the association. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwini ma'am, for giving a beautiful information and significance of Alumni Association. I now request Professor Sharmishta Datta, IQASC Coordinator and HOD of Botany Department, MLAC, to address the gathering.
Yeah, good morning, students, and also the students who are through YouTube who have got connected. And it gives me immense pleasure to be here for addressing the gathering because I also am an alumni of this institution, and I've put in that many years of service. So I've seen the institution grow, and our association, that is the Alumni Association, is way behind, in 2005 when we had the first NAC. So I just want to give you a brief on what does an alumni play a role in the institution of higher learning. Now, colleges like us, where we have, where we impart, both UG and PG, education, our colleges are considered to be institution of higher learning, and alumni has a major role to, to have in the growth of the institution. And the college is now stepping into almost, we have got 5 decades of the students who have passed out. And so you can imagine the kind of, networking our students can create, our alumni can create. So my humble request to all the alumni and the future alumni, because those who are sitting here in the auditorium would be our future alumni. And what you have to contribute towards the institution plays a very important role. See, many of you might be having ideas. You can just put it across to our committee. We have a very strong alumni committee which has been working in the institution. You just have to mail to them and you can sit across. One very important thing which has happened is our alumni association has got registered. So that plays a very important role. Now we have a registered body itself, and alumni who are being, who have passed out in over a period of time. We have some prominent places they might be working, and they would like to come back to the institution, to their alma mater, and contribute to the growth of the institution. So I would request all those alumni to please contribute towards the growth of the institution. You can do a lot to the institution by contribute towards the scholarship, by contributing not just in the form of kinds, but you can also come with your knowledge. You can share your knowledge. You can share, the information you have, how to, groom the students. You can help our students to take up jobs outside, how the world is, how they can be groomed towards as better citizens of the country. And that is how the alumni network happens and the institution grows very well. So in this regard, today's activity, which I'm very happy with, because Dr. Pushpa Rao, who was the first batch of BCZMB student, and she was also my student. So I really feel proud that she's been placed there, doing so well. And like that, we have so many, alumni. One who's sitting here is also a student of mine they're doing extremely well. So like that, we have so many, alumni who are placed so well, doing extremely well in their own, fields. And I would request all of them to pitch in and make this a grand success. More than anything is our data networking should be very, very strong. So I would request all those who are there today in today's program, please develop that networking through social media, through WhatsApp, through Facebook. Make the networking and have all the, you can get associated with. Each year we can have groups. So it is not now. We have, I passed out somewhere in 86. So I too have a group. So we can have such small groups who can form network. And we have a very good website. In the website, we will have a web page where prominent alumni can give, a small video. They can give a small write-up, and it can be posted on the videos. We have been doing this, and this can be continued further. I will not take much of your time because she has been connected with us from Boston, and we should not be taking away her time also. I wish the organizers a grand success through the period of all the alumni activities. So I also congratulate the entire team for bringing this kind of activity, this kind of career guidance activity, where the students would be motivated towards the how you can do and what are the options open for you all. So this would be a right kind of discussions. We can have it, or talk we can have from the alumni. And believe me, she was, it was not a very easy path for her. So for every success, there has to be hardship. And I think she will be the best person to tell you how she has gone through. She was a very, very bright student, and we really feel proud that she has been placed in such a good university, in such a good position she is. So I congratulate the entire organizing team and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With coming to the main part of this event and delaying no more, I once again welcome speaker of today's event, Dr. Pushpa D. Rao, scientist at Lapix Therapeutics, Boston, USA, who is with us virtually. To introduce more, she is former research scholar at Tufts University School of Medicine. She is been awarded PhD degree from the Department of Ophthalmology, Visual and Anatomical Sciences, OAS, Wayne State University School of Medicine. She has expertise in corneal biology and focus on understanding the pathogenesis of ocular. Ma'am is an experienced research scientist in the field of immunology and ophthalmology, involved in designing drug targets by studying the underlying disease mechanisms, also has experience in developing and working with mouse models of HSV1 infection and glaucoma. She has 6 research articles published, including in the most popular journal, the Journal of Immunology. We are proud and fortunate to have such a prominent alumnus and eminent scientist in this webinar platform to guide all of us. With all, she was the student of first BCZMB batch in the year 1919 to 2002. I request all the audiences online to please mute audio and video throughout the session. You are allowed to post your questions, doubts, queries on the chat box, which will be addressed at the end of the session. The same, final year students offline are required to note down your questions in a sheet of paper with your name and class and present it to the moderator at the end of the talk.
Actually,
Pushpa ma'am, could you please switch on the video?
Yes, turned on.
Pushpa ma'am, you
Yes.
can start. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can everybody see me?
Yes, they're able to see.
Okay, perfect. So should I be able to share my screen?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, the host is being disabled to share the screen.
You do it later, Nikita. Let others connect. Both of them connect. Next, trial you do.
Can you please check now?
Sure. So it says the other screen is being shared, so I cannot be sharing the screen.
I've stopped sharing.
Okay.
You can go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So can everybody hear me clearly? Is there any echoing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So hello everybody and good morning. I suppose everybody had a great breakfast. So it is going to be a good brain glucose session. Not to make you guys nervous, but thank you so much, everyone, the staff, Ammanni College. It is like a family for me. And thank you especially Sharmishta ma'am. That was a wonderful talk. And she has been in my list of tutors. Like she was a part of a first batch of when we entered into a microbiology division. I always remember her and Chandrika ma'am. So this has been a really a memorable journey, and perfectly as Sharmishta ma'am did talk about, it has been a hardship. Yes, that's absolutely right. And she really sensed it well. And of course, but we didn't quit it, right? So that's the whole point of this career session, that how to really take up the small steps and get into the ultimate um, zone that you really need, right? So you need to have that grit, that passion. And I'm so proud of the Alumni Association of Ammanni College. And thank you, everybody, the staff, the lovely lecturers that I had, the professors, the board of directors, and thank you so much. So with this, a lot of thanks and special thanks to Sharmishta ma'am for a wonderful speech. It's really touched my heart, and every word that she spoke is, I feel so proud that I'm in her thoughts, because she might have been taught so many students through her career, right? So she still remembers me, and excuse me. So that makes me feel so proud. So, well, not to delay more, thank you so much, everybody, to make use of this session, an hour. As I said, it's going to be a lot of brain glucose session, because I truly will make you think the questions that I have here, because I would like to have the session as a more of an interactive than just a one-way session, right? Because if it is somebody talking about their whole life story, what hardships, what are the career roles that a person played, it's going to be a pretty boring hour session, right? So I would love to have it as a more of an interactive session. And please post any questions that you have, and I'll be more than happy to stop in between. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions, because this session is just meant for your benefit, right? Whatever questions or queries you have, so please post it. I'm here to the best of my knowledge to answer any of your questions. And thank you once again. Let me start my talk. And as I said, it's going to be a little more interactive. And please feel free to stop in between and just ask questions. So no hesitations. And getting back to what Sharmishta ma'am said, yes, networking is the key, right? So starting with this career session, whatever I needed to detail is the part of the networking is also the key for really getting to the best of the best, right? Because if you are not communicating well, then that's going to be a big time problem, because it's a part of a soft skill session too, right? So here it goes as my first slide. So don't be surprised, right? Because my first slide is going to be asking you a question. So let me clear my old screen. So can everybody see the screen with this question popping up? So the first question that I would like to ask everybody is, what do you really want to do the rest of your life, right? So that is the primary question and the crux of the whole career session here, right? The first question that you have to ask is to yourself, like, what do you really want to do? Because if you certainly ask this question and you're very clear with your path, then everything is going to lay out very easy to you. Of course, there are going to be ups and downs. Of course, there are going to be a lot of more questions ahead. But once you clear up this question to yourself, like, why am I here? What am I doing? So these are the preliminary questions that you have to ask yourself before heading into something big, right? So if you're not happy in the long run, that's going to drive you crazy, right? So it's going to be like an haphazard motion. So instead, root your foundation strong well, and then think about why you are here, right? So there are so many questions that might be influencing you. It could be many different factors. It could be a family pressure. It could be many different conditions or some circumstances in the life that made you put in this zone. But the question is, you have to lead your life, right? So you have to be a strong person indeed to lead this role. So the person who is responsible solely to have a career or to question the career itself is you, because end of the day, you can't be blaming any ex-person for your step taken, right? So that's the reason I'm emphasizing on this first question as to what do you really want to do the rest of your life? It is a very broad question, isn't it? I mean, that's the reason I thought I would have an interactive session, but people who are on Zoom, most welcome to pitch in, to talk. I don't mind being interrupted. So this is the real reason I wanted to have an interactive, because I really want to know what's there in your minds, right? Without which just having a one-way talk would be making me feel I will be talking about my life, right? So the question is, what next? I'm pausing if there are any questions coming up for a minute. Okay. So I'll just go ahead, probably laying out little steps for you to answer this question, right? What next? It's a very broad question. Now, the next step is, I put this cartoon in saying that you build your own career path, right? Now you see a pronoun there as you. The you meaning you are the leader going ahead with your own career path that is laid out, right? I mean, this was the best cartoon I can put here because that you pronoun is so important that I tried to highlight it too, I guess. Yeah. So that's a real priority question, that you are the person who is making this decision, right? For which, no doubt, you should be asking several questions as to why, how, when. So many different questions will pop up, right? But on the flip side, I thought I'll put the same myths too. So what are the myths here? So the myths associated with this would be, why should I even think about this question, right? When career can come so easily and it's so simple to manage, when I can ask a career counselor, right? I mean, everything is laid out. And then even if I choose a career, why will I get stuck in it? So some people think they get stuck in it and they can't move ahead. If they want to change, come back, they feel, okay, why is this unnecessary planning needed? Or you can just ask somebody, a friend, or whoever is taking that path, I'll just go in the same way. So these are the myths associated with the career path that can, number one, demotivate you. Number two, it can stress you out. And number three, it can make you feel who are you? That can come up with an identity question later on. If it cannot be in the initial positions, but when you reach to a position where you have acquired so much, then it will reach to a point that how unique are you, right? So that's the reason you'll have to question and interrogate yourself very well. So indeed, it can be called as a self-counseling or self-interviewing yourself, right? So make yourself comfortable, ask priority questions, why you're here, and how are you able to drive this career path, right? So I kind of remember during my graduate days, one of my professors, he was one of my committee members actually, and he would always ask me, did you chart out your pie, Pushpa? So I was wondering, why is he even calling me my career path as a pie? So pie is something where you can cut into several pieces, right? So how he imagined a career path to be versus how I imagined. So I kind of paused thinking about it, that what he meant was right. Because he actually visualized a career to be like a complete circle. Like, how do you want to manage it? Like, if you do A, will it go in a complete circle, or do you want it to be laid out in a horizontal line? Meaning it's up to an individual, right? But you will have to visualize and imagine how a path can go. And that is actually also applicable to any science graduate students. I mean, of course, there are many other fields where imagination is also a key, like for art students or maybe even for commerce students, anybody. But especially me being in the science field, I would say being creative, having imagination is very important, because if you really love this profession, then you really need that imagination. And you cannot be taking somebody else's word and creating this path, right? You need to imagine, visualize, and then think about how each steps can make a whole story in your life. And that's the little steps that you have to take that can make it easy, simple, and at the same time, you're going to enjoy the life too. So you shouldn't be feeling all these things to be a burden or a part of the, part of this burdening your whole life session, career session in the life. So at the same time, you should also be enjoying it, right? So this is the whole point where I'm emphasizing that question yourself. And that's why I'm emphasizing on the word or the pronoun you, right? Never go in the myths that it's going to be easy. Somebody is going to tell me, or somebody is going to come with a plate full of fruits that you could eat. So that should never happen, and that will never happen, right? So please take necessary steps. So that is my kind suggestion, and I'm here to help you with these little steps. So that was an important cartoon that I would like to put, that always there will be some ups and downs. So there could be a stormy days, there could be sunny days coming up, so it could be an uphill road. So never hesitate to take calculated risks. Indeed, even risks or even challenges, that's there to make you stronger, right? So always there are going to be ups and downs every time when you take up something new. And the second factor that could affect is the fear, right? The fear of seeing something new is always there in everybody. So this has to be overcome, and you have to really take up that step to see something new, right? And that's how you can make this circle or journey of your career wonderful and easy to go, so that it's not going to burden, and you should not be thinking about it 24/7 as to how this will happen, how that will happen, how this can merge with this. That should not be that tough when you have a clear-cut planning and questioning yourself. That is very important, right? That should not raise in between your career journey always. Once you make a decision, you follow it up no matter what, and there comes the factor of dedication, right? As the Alumni Association has named its the whole name of Arpan, that's really a great name. I mean, I'm just like proud of this name, that Arpan, or the dedication, perseverance, should also be there in all of us, right? If you have to take any step, that should be within us. And this, I thought I will put it in a very small steps to make you easy, because this can sound like a 101 of a career class, right? It should not be just like a boring writing down notes. No, please don't do that, because this is just like a take home message. Just keep in your mind, but follow it. So following it is so important than writing it down, or taking it like a class work. So please don't do that. Please enjoy it, and then just remember it. Just don't forget it thinking that it's an hour session of some some kind of a time pass career course or whatever. So please take it and remember it, and take it as a take home message. So please follow it. So I thought I'll put it in a form of a circular steps so that it's easy. And I thank the web pages, whoever created this, so that I can have it in a simpler version. So this, I thought I can put it in a form of a cheat sheet notes. You know how we keep it as a to-do list so that we remember it every day. In fact, every morning I look at one of those lists that I've made, that I feel proud of what I've achieved. I am doing great and I am well. So these are the words which keeps you motivated every day, right? And I'm really not kidding. I mean, this really works so well that every little step you take towards anything that you do every day, it might be learning new things or reading new things, these dots will connect in the end, and you have no idea how it would help you. So please take my words. This is really going to help you every little steps that you take. And each one might have a different style of working this out, right? And as you see this in the circle, let me put the first one actually. Yeah. So this is the key steps. So I don't say that you have to really, keep a regime following this. These are just the key steps to help you, like what questions you need to ask. In the initial slide, if you recall, I had asked you a central question, which is a crux of all this career talk, right? Like, what do you really want to do? And why are you guys here, right? So to help you out with that, so these are the little notes, how you have to take up that whole big ladder, right? So that might look like a big, broad question. So how to answer it? So these are the little steps. So every different person will have different career, imagining a different career, right? I mean, let me put it that way, like imagining a career maybe in academic setting, so or a non-academic setting, or maybe somebody wants to be in a science profession and all of a sudden wants to become a let me think, like a business analyst, right? That's okay. You're kind of exploring different angles of career, right? And probably I'll have a slide in the end to talk about that, like how academic versus non-academic careers, what different careers are there. So it's still okay. So you don't have to really be in that little box just because you're a science graduate. You will have to pursue with that. So just check out with the internal you, I mean the you, not anybody else, what you really need, right? What are your strengths? You have to question yourself. What skills you have, right? You are a good orator, or maybe you're a good writer, right? And you have to judge yourself as to test. This is the testing time for you to question and see where you stand. And that is the initial step where you need to take as to honing your skills, right? How are you honing your skills? Which direction can you sharpen your skills? Your focus needs to be on that. And that's how you take the little steps. So if you're random in the initial stages, you have no idea what you want to do, or maybe you just want to play a football game, right? But is that going to happen all your lifetime? You have to question yourself. I'm not saying that's a bad or a good, but you will have to question yourself, because that's going to be a random question. Because end of the day, if you think you want to be a football player and then you want to be a scientist, that's not going to work. right? So that is how I'm trying to put these puzzles together, right? Question and question yourself. That is the first step and the first step. So that's how I'm putting all these questions together. So this is the question number 1. What are you good at? What skills do you have? And what are your strengths, right? And then I have another cheat sheet, which is next is exploring options, right? Well, now you know that you're good in doing science, or you're just excellent in accounting, right? You just know it. Fine. And now is the exploring options, right? What options do you have? Or do you want to pursue further? What career options are there? Do you want to just have a great career or look for jobs? Yes, you should do that. You should start looking for that right now, right? And then do you need some other activities to hone your skills, or just to sharpen your communication activities? Because somewhere something is incomplete in you, right? You should figure that out. You might be having strengths, but the next part is, what are your weaknesses, right? So that's when I would like to highlight this point. In the market, in the current market, probably many of you might have experienced this, those who are in the job markets, they certainly would ask you this question as to, first, what are your strengths, right? You should be ready with it. Like, what are the real strengths you have? It might be in the sector of the research field, or it might be in the writing field, medical writers, business analysts, administrators. What are your strengths, right? The second question that may ask is, what are your weaknesses? So that is the key question, because nobody can talk about their weaknesses just boldly as such, right? So that is the question where this is the right time for you guys to ask certain questions and be prepared with it, right? So that you can be well prepared for the game coming ahead. And you just will be doing great when such questions pop up in front of you. And the another point that I would like to highlight when I talk about the interview is, probably you see that in the last point of exploring option, point number 3. Can I scroll over? I'm not sure. Yeah, this point, if you can see my cursor, right? So you see a word there called informational interview. So maybe again, some of you might have heard about this, right? So informational interviews is another key. So this involves how well are you networking with the people around, right? So in case, just as an example, like if people are wondering, what am I talking about, right? So for example, if you are interviewing with a senior supervisor or an associate or a senior scientist, or maybe it's an off science job or some VP or a director, right? You can be talking to the person directly because of their time slots or their schedule, but you still can talk to somebody in the company, like an hiring manager or an associate or a key person associated with that. So that's called an informational interview, which is prior to the real interview, right? That is because you are being inquisitive about what is happening, what are the roles played, and what role will I play. So that is something like a step ahead of anybody else, right? That shows how inquisitive you are, A, and B, what kind of a proactive activities are there in you, and that will completely highlight. So that is the key that plays in the informational interview. So you have to show your strengths, you have to show your interests, and how proactive you are to play this whole game of, the jobs and the interview, your career, and whatever that is, right? You have to always show your interest. And nobody is going to come to you, as I said, a plate full of fruits, right? You have to earn it. Exactly. Now, let me slowly get into making decision points, right? This is a bit hard. And as I said, making decisions can come as a priority question, and you need not follow this pattern as such. You may make a decision and then go to exploring careers. So these are the things which I'm talking about in a general perspective, right? Before even you explore any career, or even if you're a science graduate student, always and always, as I said, imagining your path, imagining whatever your experiment, imagining anything is very, very important, right? So making decision is another key. So that also requires a key role of imagination, right? Questioning, imagination, and laying down the points. So another key skill I would like to highlight here is organization, right? Organization and organization. I repeat it, because if you're not organized, if you're haphazard, if you're just random, you are totally lost. I'm sorry to say this, you'll be totally lost. So you have to be well organized and you have to be determined. So that goes hand in hand, no doubt. So if people are looking for careers that just comes to them in a shortcut way, that's really not going to be persistent. It's going to be just be a transition fix, right? Just take my word, that's going to be a transition fix. If it is a well thought, well planned, and a very well made a decision, like how I'm talking about these points, then it's going to be a very comprehensive, well made career plan, right? You have everything in your hand, and that way you'll have a plan A. If not, you'll have a plan B. If not, there are very smart people who think of a plan C. There you go. So that's the well-made comprehensive career planning. And why do you think we are spending this hour talking about this? Because that is really, really important and plays a major role in your lifetime career decision, right? So taking just short fixes, going in the shortcut routes, thinking that this would happen in an hour or two, or something like an instant coffee, that's not going to work. I'm really sorry. This is not demotivating, but I'm really, really stressing on this. You have to be very dedicated, and the passion in you should be shown, right? So I seriously stress on these points. Now, coming to the next point is, my screen is blocking. Okay. This is taking action. So taking action is, there you go. You're all set. Now it's the game time, right? Now it's the questioning time. What can strengthen you? So now you have to reach the goal. There is no way back. So that way you have to be stern and stubborn, right? You can be returning back just thinking that it's going to be a long route. That is where I stress on the word perseverance, right? When you have that perseverance, no doubt you're going to reach that ladder top and have that success, whatever you are planning for, right? Whatever that trajectory you have in your career plan. And those talents, you have to really figure this out. And taking action is the core step of this whole career path, right? And then next is evaluating the decision. I suppose this will be the another key step, meaning for people who are still in between deciding, oh, I have reached this goal and now what, right? Is it going to be a real step? Should I come back to square one where I was? Because I talk in an example, for example, if people think of transitioning, right, from a science career to something else, which I still feel it's okay, right? I mean, people there are exploring, which is still okay. So feel free, do not fear to have any transitions in your career, but always have a plan B, right? So that is evaluating your decision, meaning you know what you're doing, correct? Second thing is, what if it is going to get back to square one? That's also fine, because you have a plan B. So that is how you have to be well protected with the pros and the cons of whatever decision you take. So that's called the evaluation, right? So these are the core points of the career path that I would like to highlight. And as I said, there is no necessity of any note making. And obviously you can't be making any notes here because some people might feel it to be like a general boring talk, but some people might take it to be interesting. But take it as a take-home message. That's what I would like to tell you, right? So these points are just as a general points to help you taking the small steps. So just to highlight whatever I spoke about, right? This is from one of the websites that I keep. I mean, there are so many blogs that you can read if you're very active. This is one of the sites called The Muse, where there are many people talking about their career, how their career goes well. So it's kind of keeps you motivating, right? Not everybody is going to take the route A to Z. Believe me, not everybody is going to take this, right? Nobody's life is going to happen A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it? It's not going to happen. That's okay. So here are the testimonials that talks about like how can your dream job be, or how can your career be, or how could you be with a transition career or a combination career, right? I mean, you can read this stuff. I don't want to reiterate reading all this, but these are just kind of a testimonials which can make you feel stronger, right? There are people outside there who think outside the box. So thinking out of the box is something that can make you so unique. And that is another key step, right? And let me emphasize again, reiterate this, questioning yourself, number one, dedication and the passion, number two, and of course, there are no shortcut routes for this, right? It's not an instant coffee, right? You have to brew your coffee from the scratch. If you want to really make your career, that's the way. And four, do not hesitate to make any transition. So this is the testimonial that gives you a snapshot of what I mean, right? All these people, they actually imagined what they really wanted, and they never had a fear in them to step in. And they stepped in, they saw the world, they explored it. And if you fail it, that's still okay, right? If you fail, you have seen what a failure is, right? And then you come back to square one. It's okay even to start from the scratch. And in fact, I should tell you, I'll be a good example to talk about my own experiences in that, right? So that's how you should be having A, your attitude, B, your grit, and C, your passion, right? I mean, I'm still going to emphasize on these factors again and again, right? And that's where I get to this, my favorite, I really emphasize this, a favorite career tree. So I thought I could make this as a beautiful cartoon, but just it came out as a nice favorite career tree of mine. So let me walk you through this favorite career tree of mine. The first, okay, it's working. Okay, great. So the first is the roots, right? So why am I even emphasizing on a tree here? I mean, it's not a botany class here, right? So the roots of the tree is so important that I don't have to even talk about this, right? And what I mentioned here is your attitude, your psychology towards your career is very, very, very important. No matter what happens, you have to have that passion and grit to make you step into the next step, right? It should make you, I mean, nobody should pressurize you. That's what I'm trying to put everything in together, that some X factor shouldn't make you feel, oh, I should be taking this. No, it should come within you. And that coming within you is nothing but the passion, right? And nothing can stop you. So for the driving factor of passion, first is the question, what do you really want to do, right? And I'm going back to my first slide again. The question that you ask relies on your whole attitude. So first step is to question, which means that have your positive attitude, right? And you should always be networking with positive people around. And that is because you question yourself what you want to be. You should be circling around such people, no doubt. right? If you really want to be a lawyer, or you want to get into some kind of a business world, or you want to get into a corporate world, you want to be in a scientific world, you should always be circled around such people and be in a positive attitude that you can do it, and you should have that grit and passion. So once you have laid out that foundation, like any civil engineers can tell you this, right? No building is being brought up with just like a sand and water, right? Do you even see a building being brought up like that? So that's why I say it's laying out the foundation is very, very important. And what's the foundation here for your career is I would try to really emphasize on the psychology, especially in nowadays, that people are losing their patience, right? People are just like losing it for no reason. And they think it's done and they lose the game and they just cannot do anything. It's not the end of the game. I mean, you've just not seen the whole picture of it. You've just not seen the whole world. I mean, there are so many things to explore, so many things to learn, but that only happens if you have passion. I mean, nobody can even pressurize you. So that is where you have to develop. And I put that little sign, so many people might be laughing and looking at that. That is, just sit, close your eyes and meditate, right? I mean, that is the key step for that you calm down. This world is not going to collapse just because you lost it. So that can lead you to the next step, which is the trunk of the tree. Now, what's the trunk of the tree? Can somebody guess? Yep, that's a funny cartoon. That is energizing you. So you have to recharge your batteries, right? So the recharging your batteries is getting your skills, your soft skills. So soft skills are nothing but your interpersonal skills and networking, communication. There's a long list. Of course, I don't want to go over the whole list. I mean, you can just browse through. You can see these are just the key skills required anywhere, everywhere, any profession, wherever you go, no doubt. So you have that. So just an example of the soft skill is that there are so many people who may be knowledgeable about one particular aspect, right? Like, for example, if I talk about a tree, like I have a picture of a tree, right? Many of us may know many different points about a tree. We're very knowledgeable to talk about a tree, right? We're very knowledgeable. There might be some people communicate about a tree in a different way, right? That depends on everyone's skills. So that's where relies the soft skill strategy. And how do you build that? By networking, by communicating, by writing, by reading, right? And these are all the steps that you need to take to sharpen your skills. And that's why I say these career steps that you take doesn't come just automatically. It is not it is just not like a technology button or whatever that you just toggle one and you get like ABCD. It is not going to happen that way. You have to get the experience, every inch, every centimeter, every millimeter of it, and then you get energized, right? You lay out a foundation. It is a stepwise process. If it is a stepwise process, you have to keep up patience and you have to keep up that perseverance and see the magic of it later on, right? For which I say presence of mind is another key, right? You have to be smart and take smart decisions at the right time. And that comes with experience, no doubt, but you learn. Many people learn as they fail, that's okay. And many people learn as they go, they're smart. Yeah, that's okay. There are different people, right? So always and always, nobody should be comparing with each other, right? Each one is unique and we are unique. So we will go ahead in different ways. So the next step that we need to take is re-energize ourselves with different skill sets that you want to do, right? And the final and the key step is, I mean, I made like a quote of it. That's the quality and the quantity required for your career development. And all this quality and the quantity that I mentioned is the quality of the root and the trunk, and the quantity matters how a tree can grow, right? So that is how you have to develop your skills and your attitude. Both are required to make this career tree beautiful and wonderful, and that's where you bear your fruits. And that's until then you have to wait, and you cannot just cut a tree in a sapling, right? You cannot lose patience. And the tree might dry out, the tree might undergo so many hardship, that's okay. You can re-water it, you can replant it, you can put more minerals, more soil, whatever is required. I mean, I'm just talking about how you can keep your passion up, how to circle yourself with positive attitude, how to circle yourself with positive people, re-question yourself, re-channelize your brain, and keep energizing. Energizing can go in many ways, sharpening your skills, or just keep doing some exercises every day if you're not feeling great. So these are the little steps. I'm not kidding. These are the little steps that will help you, which will not make you return back. So that is the whole point here, right? When you are climbing up this ladder of career, you cannot think of coming down, right? You have to be in the game, have to and must be in the game. And that is the challenge taken, right? So I thought I will just project this video, but let me see if I can play this. Probably I can play. Yep. So that was a video. I suppose people could hear it, but I apologize if you couldn't hear it. That's okay. That's available on the LinkedIn and the YouTube. So it was just a motivational talk from her as to how hard her life was and how she could take it positively. And all that she said for people who couldn't hear to this video was just don't stop, keep going, right? That's the message overall. Is somebody asking a question? Okay. So let me get back to that 5 mantras that I was talking about, right? Just quick steps. Because if it sounded to be boring like a theory class, and here is the real scenario of putting myself into this 5 mantras, like how I could get to this stop, right? When I talked about discovering yourself, if you recall those cheat sheets that I put, it was about the interests, the skills, and the strengths that you have to talk about. But what does this really mean, right? So let me put myself into this. How about that, right? It can make you feel easy. It can make you feel insured that somebody has taken this step, right? So that can be another assurance for you guys, right? So let me quickly guide you with this, that when I talk about interests, so the careers of interest that I needed, I listed it out, right? And the lists were biology. So what does biology mean? It's like a broad subject, and that was obviously in my high school days. Okay, fine. But what about my undergraduate? That's where I was at Ammanni College for microbiology, and I was the first batch of students, as Sharmishta ma'am said. She still remembers me. Thank you, ma'am. So that was my next step. So fine. But what was my passion into? I was really passionate about exploring immunology, because ever since I took this course of microbiology, my initiative was into the medical microbiology aspect of it. So then my interest literally wavered to immunology. So what were the steps that I took? So this is our logo, and you know where that is. And this is where I did my internship. So as I detailed you, once I took the microbiology course, right, I was thinking myself, what is next? So then I had to do an internship because my passion was immunology. But then medical microbiology was something insisting me to take over that step. So this was the internship, and then I went to the PES, now the PES University, right? They awarded me a gold medal there. And next step that I took was, what next? I really wanted to pursue my PhD, but PhD in what, right? So I didn't question myself, PhD in what, but my passion was immunology. Back then, there was nothing as such called masters in immunology as such. So I had to take a general subject, a master's in biotechnology, which was offered then in PS. So then I took up that, and then I wrote my GRE. I listed out my universities, what research I'm passionate about. Exclusively, I listed out the universities where they have the immunology projects. I mean, there are umpteen number of universities, it's very hard to shortlist it, but I kind of shortlisted it based upon my scores, how much I might be getting, a range, I mean, an approximate range, right? Because really, when you write that exam and what scores you get, you can't just judge it. So you have to have a short list of those universities. So I made that list, and I made sure these projects match my interests. And this is how I went further, asking how and which institution to apply. So that was my very, very, very initial step. Next, what did I do to explore options? So when you recall that cheat sheet in the second point where I mentioned exploring options, right? Exploring options for me were understanding my skills. So once I entered the university here, I kind of understood my weaknesses and strengths. So what I still lack in and what are my strengths. So that's how I could hone my skills there, by developing more research skills, right? What I need more, what further I may need more. Because I was absolutely zero with preclinical studies. Preclinical studies is using mouse models and the tissue culture experiments. And I was good with the in vitro stuff. In vitro is conducting tissue culture experiments, but what was lacking was a preclinical model, which is the key for most of the immunology projects, right? So that is where I started having a hands-on experience, meaning how do you even do that, right? You have to approach people. Again, back to the same point, networking. You have to have a good communication. And then I kind of explored what kind of internships are available, right? Would it be possible to have scholarships? I entered in with a teaching assistant role. So I wasn't hesitant taking any positions that were available in the university that could pay my tuition, because the tuition can be a killer for your academic progress, right? So that should also go hand in hand. So when you are planning your trajectory, where your research career should go, you should always plan your finances trajectory too, right? So that is also a key step. So that's the reason I never hesitated to go in and as an assistant. It doesn't matter whether you're playing a key role as a teaching assistant, a graduate assistant, or a laboratory assistant. It can be anything, right? It can be even working as a job in a copier shop or in a coffee shop. It doesn't matter, because it's a part of a university business. So I took as much roles I could that can build up my CV, that can help explaining my expertise. So these are the key steps that I took. And just to help you, as a picture that I just put in the labs that I worked, so probably that will soothe your eyes than just me talking as just alone. Third step that I took was I finally graduated with my master's degree because I couldn't solely get into my PhD degree since I was lacking so many other research skill that I needed, right? And that helped me to get or pursue my further studies because I graduated from University of Connecticut Health Center with my master's degree in biomedical sciences. And that's when I started exploring options of playing a role in a research project at Department of Defense. So that was a wonderful key opportunity opening for me because I could one way apply for my graduate studies, in another way also strengthen my research skills, because working at the Department of Defense is something which I was feeling proud myself to put it in my CV. So I didn't truly hesitate to work there as a person who would take care of mosquitoes every day, right? I literally mean this, meaning I was working on a vector biology project, understanding what is the cycle of the mosquitoes and how does it react with other chemicals and what are the key role factors playing in that. So everything counted end of the day, right? So these are the research skills which when I was interviewed for the graduate admissions, I could talk about it. I mean, of course, I couldn't have a research article on that, but I had a report to write. So everything counted. I mean, I could showcase that in front of the committee when they interviewed me, because there will be a panel of 8 members at least to interview you before you get into the PhD program. So that was a hardship for me. And to get into the interview was a big thing in my lifetime. So that was a day of celebration in my life. And when I got through the interview and they appreciated my skills, so that is when I started appreciating every bit of my experience, right? So that is why I mentioned perseverance and dedication always pays you off, and prioritizing the decisions accordingly and organizing it and other key skill set. So I have another cartoon here where, sorry for that, you see a person looking upside down. That is because of this, where I could achieve my graduate school degree, that is a PhD degree, with lot more hardships than anything else. Because me getting a graduate degree and then applying for the research assistant job, getting the research skills, getting interviewed, and then pursuing this dedicated field was my passion that was driving through, because I was really passionate about achieving, exploring, and I was very curious about everything that I needed to know. Like I'm an avid learner, no doubt. So that made me put in this step, and now I feel very accomplished. I mean, I feel that I did this no matter what came in my way, right? I mean, I am projecting this in front of you not to showcase myself or beat my own drum, but just to make you all motivated. You know, still things can go wrong, and in the end will happen, right? So this picture that I'm showcasing you was actually taken from one of our university picture person. I mean, she was just like a poster making person or something else, but she was very interested to interview me as to how I got into the PhD program, and because I was the winner of the Thumble fellowship that is actually given to the extraordinary graduate students. I mean, again, I'm just not here to self-appreciate myself, but just want to highlight this, that this picture was put in the hallway, highlighting that this was with a real dedication that the student came up one step closer to PhD. So that is something that I would like to showcase here, that things might take time, things might take longer. I mean, things might fail, but still you can achieve it if you want to do it, right? The key is you have to be passionate. That is it. That is the only vitamin that you need in you, right? Nothing else matter. And the fourth step is focus, focus and focus. So without focus, you can be randomly thinking, and that's focus means nothing but organization, like prioritizing, back to the same point, right? And being enthusiastic. So I was very enthusiastic. I was reaching, closer to my graduation. I was trying to fulfill my achievements as I was recording all my steps. What did I do until now? How many papers did I publish, or what research did I do, or what conferences did I go? How many networking sessions did I attend? So having judged that, I actually applied to many conferences to even talk about my research, and I was awarded a travel award and a talk award at many of the conferences. And this is just showcasing some of the pictures from the ARVO. ARVO is one of the well-known conference for ophthalmology, which is an international conference held every year. And since I was curious about immunology, this is just, a funny picture that I had in the lab when I was running ELISA. I made it, figure it out like an antibody. This is just to show that how enthusiasm can make you things, easier and make it free flowing, right? And these are just the pictures of the conferences where I attended. I was awarded a talk award because when I presented a poster, I was called to present a talk to, and that was at the Garden Research Conference. And that is something which I feel proud that, your enthusiasm and your feeling in you, the positive attitude that you have in you can carry long way, right? So these are just the pictures that I have. I thought I'll just showcase this to, motivate you that, things can happen and you can do it. And the final mantra, I think we have reached to the final one, is evaluating your decision. And these are the pictures that I have posted, that once you know what you have decided and you have achieved it, you are just running on it. That's it. And you cannot think of anything back. So once you have started your goal, and you will be reaching it, and success will be yours. So once I started to dedicate myself into the research profession, so that's where I led into growing further. So that's the only key step that I had, that the passion and the grit in me. And I was very proud of my publication in the Journal of Immunology. You know why? Because remember, I was talking about my first question that I asked before I entered Ammanni College as with a microbiology degree was a passion to enter immunology, right? Immunology research. So that's where I had my first publication published. So that was the happiest moment in my life, that I did achieve my goal, right? And after all, the biggest achievement that I felt was we in fact got a $2.2 million grant for our research in ophthalmology. And I would really proud to showcase this picture of my PI, principal investigator, who received this award. And he was very proud of me to be a co-investigator with the research grant. So all these pictures that I showcased is to talk about, failures can happen. It can, the thing is, emphasis is all about every time things wouldn't go smooth. And you cannot have a fairy tale end of the day saying that, oh, this is a rosy, nice life and, things will happen great. But no, it's like an iceberg, right? You never know what's cooking inside and what's beautiful up there, right? You always have to appreciate that hardships, because that is only to make you strong. And this is one story that I would like to tell you, is at this time in the COVID times, is that story of mRNA vaccine. If you remember, the vaccines that has been made here in Pfizer and Moderna company is the mRNA vaccine, right? And the success story started by only just a little small idea, right? Never hesitate to think out of the box. Any idea can become big. That small idea of mRNA is a multi-billion-dollar idea now, which was a scientific backwater then, right? So the lady Kathleen Karaoke at 1990s. I mean, she was getting all rejections. Whenever she wrote the grant, whenever she wrote the research proposal, there was a lot of obstacles. People never believed her. They were like, oh, she's just, she's just bullshitting. She doesn't know anything. She's just talking about mRNA. So all these are the words that she got from the public. But what is it now? It's a multi-billion-dollar idea, right? So that is something that I would also instill in you, that any ideas that you get, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have jot down your ideas in a small book. Sometimes there are crazy people, I've heard, they wake up in the middle of the night because they just get some shots of ideas that they write it down in the book. I mean, it's crazy, but that has happened. So that is something that where you are really, really into it. But there are people who might not be. There might be people who are superficial, just trying to enter. So all that I say is never hesitate to talk about crazy ideas, or to any small ideas can become big later, right? Have that networking. I mean, have a communication skills and hone your interpersonal skills, which truly matters. And I'm just thankful to the training that I've gotten. As I told you, that it's the immunology passion that I was driving through, and it was the greatest ever training that I received from Dr. Suhas's lab and Tufts University Medical School. It has been a great career path for me, doing all kinds of research in all different ways: ophthalmology, HSV1 infection in the cornea, plus also in the glaucoma research recently. And now I jumped into gene therapy and immuno-oncology. So that is completely what I was looking forward for, and I am in. And this is all because the planning, and remember the pie that I was talking about, that is the planning and organization, prioritization, right? So that is exactly what I would like to highlight. And now, getting to the end of the session slowly, I would like to give you off from all that theory. And the people might tell me it was like a spiritual talk. Indeed, I mean, you guys need a spiritual talk, because you cannot lose hope, right? Because nowadays when you go to the interviews, they also look at the emotional intelligence. I mean, if you guys are aware of it, not only the intellect but also the emotional intelligence, and moreover even the spiritual intelligence. So those things matter. I think those all come in the soft skills too. So apart from that, coming to the real world, we know the theory, we know the points about the career, and how my career went in a short snapshot. Of course, I just made it a long story short, giving my example. And now the third is, what is really out in the world now, right? If people are really looking for academic jobs, if you're really looking for academic jobs in the university or in the laboratory or in education or in academic administration, what are the key roles there available, right? I just thought I'll put a chart. I mean, this, I can share it as a separate Word document. That's okay. I have it with me. So don't worry to take any snapshots or anything. So we have it. So just to highlight, if you want to be in an academia, I mean, it can go from a professor level to a postdoctoral scholar. This is meant for a PhD graduates. And master students can be research assistants, staff scientists, or research associates still. And the academic and the research administration jobs can go from the director jobs to a senior research scientists to the scientific officers. And nowadays there is a key role played in the companies called innovation scientific officers, because nowadays people are looking for more ideas and they are recruiting innovation scientific officers. So that is something really new roles now coming up. People being in science and education, they can be completely in education, teaching, community teaching, managers, or event organizers, or the teachers at the high school levels probably, or science career specialists. And moreover, there are talent acquisition specialists, because they know who to take They could be a part of the HR department too. So that is a part of a science and education department, right? While if people are thinking, I'm out of academia, I just don't want to do any more science, that's okay. You can be a part of an editorial team, which is scientific writing and communication. So you should have a key role. So you should be thinking about that question right now as to what skills I need to hone, right? If you want to be a good communicator, then you should be a good person or a orator, a good person, speaking skills, right? Communication and a managerial skills, or a media director or a press officer. I mean, the list goes on, right? A copy editor, or probably most of the PhDs I see, they are in the editorial boards of the journals, right? Scientific journals. And if you're really seeking for an industry research, like example, I'm into an industry research, right? Currently I'm in a opening role of scientist, and the hierarchy goes as a scientist, senior scientist, principal scientists, and then they go as a CSO, so on and so forth, right? So that is the trajectory of the industry research. And then if you want to get away from all this, and then you want to get into the business part of it, that's also great. So the business development includes consulting. So if people are wondering what consulting is in science, is consulting is something you're helping the industry, right? You're giving them so many other trajectories of venture capitalists or business development, strategy making, or planning the whole, it could be anything, planning maybe the scientific plan or how the market is or what the market value is. If you're coming up with some kind of a clinical drug, what could be the market value, or what are the IND applications, so on and so forth, right? I mean, this is a completely a different field, but still it's okay to get involved into it. And the non-academia jobs still continues, because this is something flashy now with the youth around, that people want to transition into patenting, right? So law and policy and regulatory affairs. In fact, I should tell you this, that there is a new course opening up with masters in regulatory affairs, which is kind of a nice course. I mean, I'm seeing most of the universities having this course. Recently, I was teaching the medical school students, and the students were talking to me about these courses being available, and I was new to it. I mean, it was very nice to have an interaction with them. And this is called the Regulatory Affairs course. It could be a master's course, I guess. And it all includes is how to do clinical trials, probably how to put in the IND application for clinical trials, or FDA approval of the drugs, and so on. I mean, the details can be gotten later. And then intellectual property rights. So that's another hot topic now, which is called, I think, IPR, intellectual property rights and patent laws. So people can get into that. And then healthcare and clinical sciences. And that's another hot topic too, like clinical trials, coordinator, manager. There are some certificate courses for this where people can take it. And some people project it on the media so that they can showcase their skills. And one more that is coming up, booming, is a data scientists. So that is something which I'm still exploring as to what really data scientists do, because it's a part of another course called tech transfer, right? I mean, this is also something new nowadays. Tech transfer, data analysts, statisticians, that's another part, and bioinformaticians. So that is a little off radar of science, but people who are interested in that, whose brain works in math skills, that's fantastic. So you ask me about if my brain would work in math, it's completely no, because I would be a complete no person for programming, right? So it's each one's skill set. So you'll have to question yourself as to what really have to be in. Is it bioinformatics? Is it programming? Or is it statistics? So many things are laid out there. And just to give you a key skill here, that people having a science degree also have different degrees. I suppose everybody knows about this, right? Most of you, that so many people you would see PhD/MBA, right? Because they have a business degree with a PhD, and they can maneuver so many other stuff. So it's like, it depends on how you want to carry your career stuff ahead, right? If you just want to be in academia, or if you just want to take it to a next level further, for which you need, more skill sets. So you'll have to really concentrate on that, how much time you'll have to put into it, right? So those are the questions, and I just thought I'll put this together so that if people are thinking what way they need to go, so that's a little taste added to it. So altogether, I will just put this note here as from Roosevelt, is the purpose of life. It's to live and enjoy, to taste the experience, every bit of it, right? Do not take it as hardships, but enjoy it and reach further without fear. But my note on to this is this: these are my words with my experience, is always strengthen your imagination, without which you can never ever dream higher, right? You should feel yourself and believe in yourself. That's you who playing the role model. You can't be blaming anybody. You can't be saying, of course there will be so many XYZ factors affecting, but you are the key player there, right? So please believe in yourself, and best things would come up with a greater perseverance, no doubt. As I said, it's not a espresso shot made coffee, right? You have to be, it's really not an instant coffee. You have to really brew it. And that diligence is very much required, and you'll only enjoy the magic of it if you really pursue it. And that's really guaranteed and for sure. For sure, why? Because I've already really told you the short story of how my career went through, right? So that's really going to happen. And I would like to finally thank Ammannni College, my dear and near college. And this is why I am today, because that is the foundation that was laid out, without which I couldn't have pursued so much, right? I really thank every staff members, every colleagues of mine, and every lecturers who have made me strong, made me feel what I am today, right? I just thank you again, Sharmishta ma'am, for those lovely words. I wish I could come and speak to you guys in person, but probably that day would come soon. And thank you, Alumni Association, Ammannni College, and especially thank Dr. Babita ma'am. Thank you so much. And she was a person who actually got in touch with me. We were colleagues, and I actually was a lecturer in the year of 2004 to 5. And when Sharmishta ma'am talked about the NAC committee, I think I was a part of that. And that's when I think it was the first NAC when Ammannni College had. So I was a part of that faculty. In fact, I have a picture too. So I was a part of the faculty. I feel proud, I feel great, and I'm really thankful for everything, for what I am today. And I would especially thank all my mentors, Dr. Suhas and Kumar Singh Research Labs at Wayne State University and Tufts University, the pictures that I showed. And in fact, some of the pictures are right here. There's spring coming up. It's a good time here now. The cold is getting less snow. And altogether, I would like to thank you. If it was a boring speech, I thought of having it as an interactive, but there are so many panels up here. It's becoming a half and half YouTube and Zoom and in person. So I didn't want to have a confusion rather, but probably we'll have a interactive session. I would love to have it, because it can be like a roundtable, small conference kind of a thing, which would be really helpful, because this session should be in worth helpful to students. So that is what is the whole basis of this, right? It's not about showcasing anybody's life or anything. It just has to be motivating each other, right? If I would be helpful to somebody, I would really feel great. And again, as I suggested, this is just my little story to make you guys feel comfortable, confident, and assurance that you can take a step further without fear. If you're thinking out of the box, that's still okay. So I'm here to motivate you to think better and shape your career well. At the same time, don't take it as a burden. Live your life the best, but have patience to bear the fruits. Yeah. Don't take the decisions right away thinking that you're a failure. You are going to achieve. You're all unique. You are all going to be great. So one day, one of you will still have a unique story to tell, like me. I'm very sure, right? I'm very, very sure. So my good wishes to everybody, and Thank you. I don't think so. I do have another slide. Let me see. Yeah, this is just my contact details, just in case anybody has to approach me. In case I'm not able to answer your questions right away, you can email me to any of these emails. Yeah, this one you can write it down. Yes, for sure. And yes, before I even conclude my talk, very important is the LinkedIn. Most of you might have known about the LinkedIn, and that's where I highlighted here with my link. There's every person is really need to have a LinkedIn account, which is a priority and a right away. I feel this has to be your homework for the weekend, that please have your LinkedIn account. So that is a first step for your networking. And that is called a professional networking, because chit chatting is different from professional networking, right? I mean, professional networking can happen in many other social stuff, but please have a professional networking in LinkedIn, right? You can have my LinkedIn connection. I mean, you can send me, I can accept it, or yeah. So that's how you can build your network. So that's the key step I would like to highlight. And I can take any questions. So I'm not sure how much time I took. So probably it's beyond, is it? It's okay.
Yes, ma'am. There are a few questions to be addressed here. Can I start with the questions, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the first question is, these are the questions that we had got during the registration. So the first question here is, what would be some of the helpful certificates that will help for the career growth?
So this is a very broad question to whoever asked. Like, as I said, just a key example is, if you want to pursue further in clinical studies, you can have a certificate called something like a clinical coordinator or a clinical study, because it depends on your key role what you have to pay. There is nothing like a hard and fast rule that, okay, these are the certificates you need, or these are the diplomas you need for this particular thing. So for example, if you just want to do regulatory affairs, right, there is probably a diploma certificate for, okay, how to do IND applications. Or if you ask me, in the current place where I am, Harvard University plays a role in giving certificates for such key courses, right? Any short courses, like if somebody wants to learn immunology, they have something called, okay, immunology or clinical microbiology or clinical immunology, or I mean, I'm just putting random names, but yeah. So there are certificates available like that. Or if you want to skill in statistics, right? If I have zero knowledge, so I have to have a certificate to excel that. Sure, you can have that. So overall, the answer is, there is no hard and fast rule for you to settle with. The more you have, the better it is. But the thing is, don't be random. Just because you have like a bunch of certificates doesn't work. You have to channelize it. Like, what is your trajectory, right? So that is the key.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So the next question is from Sri Gauri, final year BCZMB. Where did you or were you or did you ever feel overwhelmed? What made you to feel so? How did you overcome that?
Certainly. I mean, of course, this is a great, excellent question, because me answering this question well will help you motivate, right? Overwhelming. Yes, I did feel overwhelmed. Why did I even, why couldn't I achieve this with my skill sets, right? Because first, when I questioned, why couldn't I even step into the PhD program? What skill sets I was lacking? Why couldn't I do this earlier? How did I overcome this? The only step I could overcome this is my passion, right? I didn't compare myself with anybody. That's the first thing. And that is a wrong thing, right? First thing is, I questioned myself what I really wanted and why I stepped into this graduate school. Let me do this. No matter what steps in my way, I was focused. That was the second point. So remember, the first point was, I never compared myself with anybody. Second is, I remained focused. Third is, I remained with my passion. My passion, since my high school days until now, I told you, like I started with a broad passion of biology, then entered into microbiology, and slowly my passion got into immunology. And that is the focus I never left, right? If you saw my key role that I played, that I just kept in that same pattern. So that is something that I could overcome with. So that was, I mean, it is a kind of a simple answer, but you have to really go through a lot through that. Yes, but remain in the game. Don't lose it.
Okay, ma'am. So the next question is, after BSc Life Science, are there any scholarships to pursue higher education in states?
Yes, after BSc Life Science. So the thing is, of course, yes. The thing is that there is some minimum education, if I'm right, because if you have an honors bachelor's of 4 years, definitely you can enter. But I think 3 years will be like, there are many people who get their master's degree. In fact, even I was the same candidate, right? I did my 3 years of bachelor's degree at Ammannni College, and then 2 years of biotechnology at the PS University, the now PS University. So total of 5 years, and later I applied for a GRE. So if you are applying after 3 years of your bachelor's, I doubt if you can still get in, but scholarships are available. Okay, so you may have to look into the particular universities, how many years of undergraduate is required. That's the only key question I have. But there might be still universities available. I'm not sure in USA. I'm not sure other places though. So if you're asking about the scholarships, definitely they're available, because I was not given a scholarship while entering, but I got a scholarship after entering. So let me tell you that, because I had to prove myself the first semester of my education, like my academics, and then I was given a scholarship that is plus a teaching assistantship, right? So that's completely possible. Yes.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. So the next question here is interdisciplinary research better than single subject oriented or single oriented subject?
Yeah, I mean, interdisciplinary is great because nowadays everything is in a collaboration pattern. I mean, definitely it's because in fact, even the PhD programs have become interdisciplinary. It's become like an umbrella program. End of the day, most of the research when you do, it's always like laser focused, right? It's like you focus on that, you are just the key person for that. So there are two ways of analysis. Nothing is like wrong or right here. That's what I mean to say. I mean, don't get confused with what I'm saying. All that I want to say is nothing is wrong or right. It's just about your relative thinking, right? First, number one, if you are focused, if you really are not into what others think like interdisciplinary, you want to be like a focused person, that can help you a long way. Yes, definitely, because people can call you for that particular key thing. I mean, I repeat it 3 times because that is the key that you have in you, that particular technique. As opposed to, on the flip side, if you think you're a master of all trades and it's a interdisciplinary program like oncology, immunology, ophthalmology, or whatever, microbiology or whatever, all these, you are mastered with all that. That's also great, because then you will have to be a key person in all this and also excel in many other different interpersonal skills, right? You can't be just focusing on one thing at that point just because you're interested in that. Because you're an interdisciplinary program, you have to pursue it to the excel. So that also needs perseverance. So altogether, the answer to this is, it is great, it is still great, but you have to pursue it, not leaving it just in between. Because some people just think that, oh, this is not going to just work, I'll have to focus into this, then it's going to be a bit of a hodgepodge. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So the next question, could you please suggest any job-oriented courses after BSc?
Job-oriented courses. Job-oriented courses?
Yes, ma'am. Job-oriented courses after BSc.
Okay. So that I'm unsure of, because job-oriented courses is something which I'm not sure whether administrative courses will be there, or, I mean, if you want to be in science, out of science, that I'm quite unsure, because there are many jobs with the courses out of science. Like, for example, if I can think about the business administrations, right? So they have like a little courses available, but still, I'm really unsure about the undergraduate courses, because if you're talking about after the master's degree, then definitely there will be no courses required for you, right? So you can just like directly enter. Yeah, but after undergraduate, I just don't want to drive you in a wrong direction, but still I'm unaware of this. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So they're in the next question, they're asking which is a better option between MSc Biochemistry and MSc Microbiology.
So I should ask you this question. Is there something called MSc Biochemistry and MSc like a program now? Because I'm not sure. Is it?
Yes, there is a course in MSc for both the biochemistry and microbiology.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it was there then, because I'm just like forgetting these aspects. Well, you remember this question which is linked to the previous one, the interdisciplinary. So the thing is, nothing is good or bad, right? I mean, anything you pursue in, you should know what you're taking. Again, you are asking a question thinking about a consequence, right? I mean, you should not be thinking how many billion rupees you'll be making by taking this course or whatever, right? I mean, I know people think that way, I know. But when you're taking the career, you should always take it if you would like it in further long run or no, right? I mean, you cannot just take the course judging how much millions you'll be making, or your uncle or aunt is pushing you, or or you're confused because both look great, biochemistry and microbiology. I mean, I'm really not trying to make fun here, but this is something that it comes with your passion. Now, suppose it comes in front of me, right? Whether it's a microbiology or a biotechnology, I would still go with microbiology because I am passionate about medical microbiology, right? I mean, I'm passionate about immunology. Those are all the interdisciplinary connected to it. So that is something that you have to question whether you would like to pursue further in biochemistry, meaning what in biochemistry, right? What other trajectories are there in biochemistry? I mean, end of the day, for me, if you even take microbiology or biochemistry, both are interlinked together because these are all the evergreen subjects. They are always linked each other, right? I mean, it's the biotechnology which is having everything in it, right? It's like a parent of all these kids. Like, it's having microbiology, it's having immunology, it's having biochemistry, it's having molecular biology, name it. So it's like a big dad, biotechnology, right? But if you're talking about these two, they are still interconnected. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you take one, you get rid of the other. You still, even today, no matter who is the molecular biologist or who is the immunologist, they always need the biochemistry idea there. Like, for example, if you talk to me, running a cloning experiment or running a Western blot, where do you think the idea is coming from? Biochemistry, right? So you cannot leave any of these subjects. So you're still okay, even if you choose anything. So don't feel like you made a bad decision taking anything. It depends on your passion, but still, if you cannot judge, it's okay. You can be exploratory, right? So that's okay. Either of the subjects is great. That's my answer.
Yes, ma'am. So these are the questions. These were the questions actually. So we have come, and these were the questions. That's all. There are no other questions. So we are to the end of the session. I request all the audience online to please fill in the feedback form, which is being posted both on Zoom as well as in YouTube chats. The feedback is very concerned for all of us. And there is an important announcement for all of the alumni members, both online and final year students who are present here. Alumni Association Arpan, MLAC, is organizing competition for all the participants. It is designing the logo competition for the Alumni Association. For more details, you can contact the alumni officer, and you can also send mail to alumni@mlacw.org. That is capital ALUMNI@mlacw.org. So the best logo will also get award. So hoping all of the participants to register and give an active participation. Now I would like to call upon the stage Ms. Jayashree ma'am, Assistant Professor at Department of Biochemistry and Treasurer of Arpan, to deliver the summary of the webinar.
Dr. Pushpa D. Rao started with a simple question and ignited all the minds for the thought process. She also helped us to figure out the answer by the self-questioning. She described the career decision-making process by highlighting on its key steps. Through a career tree, she emphasized on many aspects important for making a career. She explained the significance of 5 mantras in career by taking her own journey as an example. And finally, she listed out various career paths, and I'm sure our students will benefit from that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Jayashree ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I would like to call Dr. Babita B. Ma'am, HOD and Associate Professor of Department of Biotechnology and President of Arpan Alumni Association, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, one and all. It's my privilege to give vote of thanks for today's webinar. I would like to thank foremost our MLAC management, our beloved principal, Dr. Shashikala ma'am, IQAC coordinator, Professor Sharmishta Datta ma'am, for giving immense support for Alumni Association in conducting various activities for our MLAC students as well as alumni. I would also like to thank our office bearers, Mrs. Ashwini Narayan, Mrs. Sahana Savitri, Ms. Anupama, Mrs. Jayashree, and Mrs. Vani, who have been our pillar of support to take association together. I would also like to thank our distinguished speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Pushpa D. Rao, who, in spite of hectic schedule, took time in sharing her experience about career guidance and her experience in various avenues. I would also like to thank our organizing committee members, whether it is registration team, the technical team, or the moderator in charge team, who made this event a successful one. And last but not the least, I would like to thank our alumni as well as our final year students who have listened to this program. And I hope that this program will have a very good message for them regarding the skill development and the broader avenues, what they can pursue for towards their future goal. So in future, Arpan MLAC Alumni Association will strive its best to bring alumni together and give back to alumni in all possible ways, whether it could be academic or it could be societal or placement activities. So Alumni Association will have in future various activities and various platforms to be given for our MLAC students as well as alumni. And this networking will be very strong and sustained in a very successful way. So thank you one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. I once again thank Pushpa ma'am, who has been with us since a long time. Now it is morning for us, but she's in USA and she is at her midnight. So she has taken time to explain so much to all of us. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, we are at the end of the program and also eager to plan for the career, create a path and journey to go. We are the creator of our own destination and let our decision and vision be perfect. Hoping that this webinar has opened all your eyes and ways for the destiny, I would like to end this event by mentioning one of the verses from chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. Udharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadhayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. Our rise is the result of our actions. Our fall is the result of our actions. We are our own friend. We are our own enemy. We are the makers of destiny. With this spiritual note in the mind, let us set our vision and goal. Thank you all. You will get the feedback from Nick. So by filling all the credentials in the Google form, you can submit it and e-certificates will also be sent within a week. So if you have any problem with that, you can contact the faculty in charge of the Alumni Association. With this, you can discuss. Thank you all. I request all the organizing committee members to stay here. There will be a group photo.